So, lads, we gotta talk about this topic. And before we actually talk really about anything, we gotta just talk. I gotta say this before anything. Obviously, the most important thing is Cheyenne Parker-Tyus. It is more important. There are more important things than basketball, and obviously what she's going through is 100 times more important than basketball. And the reason why I have to start the video like that is a lot of people in the comment section, sometimes rightfully so, sometimes wrongfully so, will be trying to use this to make a point. And I've seen a lot of weird things about how this whole situation is it's the Aces trying to do damage control. I'm going to talk about just the pure basketball logistics of this, because just like an injury to a male basketball player, when it comes to talking about basketball, talking about the season, if a key player for a team ends up getting pregnant, it does matter. For the on-court stuff, it does matter. But obviously, it matters looking at the totality of the league from somebody who is covering this league talking. But on a personal level, obviously, there are more important things to basketball for Cheyenne Parker-Tyus. And I have to mention that because obviously this is a little bit of an interesting topic. But I do not care. Yes, I'm using a damn ad blocker. But Cheyenne Parker-Tyus didn't shed a tear. She recalled until her coach did. 10-year vet who signed for the Aces, a free agent in February, played plenty of overseas basketball, and can't see it. So basically, what ended up happening was Cheyenne Parker-Tyus actually played an entire overseas season pregnant, which is actually unbelievable. That is unbelievable. We all have to just put out how crazy that is to do that. And she ended up signing for the Aces. And I think everyone knew something was up when Parker-Tyus signed for the minimum. And a lot of people were penciling in Cheyenne Parker-Tyus as a guaranteed starter. Because Parker-Tyus is a player who, yes, she was not good last season. She was not great last season in terms of how she played. But she was still, you could tell, you would assume she still had it in her. She's not too old. She'd come off an exceptional 2023 season. It's not she was an all-star in 2023. And the Aces got her for a minimum. They got her at a minimum, and she can play beside AJ at the 5. But it now makes more sense why teams weren't looking for her. And the Aces were willing to take a player into their team who was very, who obviously didn't miss the season, who's missed quite a chunk of the season. It also makes a little bit of sense from the Aces' perspective that Mae Gustafson, their 3 best bench players were all centers, arguably. On maybe Tiffany Mitchell, 3 of their 4 best bench players were centers. So right now, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with the Aces. I still think what the Aces did was smart. You've got a not max contract, but 150k player for half of the season. She is apparently wanting to come back for the last few months of the season, which is going to be a really interesting one, because obviously, look, I'm not. You can assume you could tell I'm not someone who's gone through childbirth and how it would affect it, but I've just looked at how it's affected other players, and obviously there is a little bit of time to come back, and she looks like she wants to come back playing quickly, which again is a testament to her, and the fact she played a freaking season overseas is crazy as well. But for the Aces, I think it's a really worthwhile risk. You've got a minimum contract player who you can suspend their contract probably for a certain amount of time, and not only that, you got a minimum contract player who, worst case scenario, she's a minimum contract player. Best case scenario, she returns to all-star form and she is the reason you win a title. And when you are a team like the Aces, you have to take risks. And look, one of the things that I do really like is the fact that we saw in the interview that just on a personal level, the Aces did a really good job with being she was up front with the Aces taking care of that and being happy with the situation. And look, it's something the Aces kind of had to do in that situation. And not that they had to sign her, but they couldn't have been too bad in the situation, obviously after the Hamby situation. But I don't think teams have to go out of their way for human decency. I don't think most teams are going to be okay with that, especially when you can get, it's a minimum risk. It's a non-risk. It's not like Hamby. It's a bit different than the Hamby situation. The Aces were wrong in the Hamby situation, especially with the way the CBA is written, but Hamby signed a max contract right before that. It's not like a minimum contract for an all-star level player at her best. So it does change a lot for the Aces early on in the season. I don't think the Aces are good enough to compete. Like, when you have 900,000, you have a greater... By the way, the Aces, just Chelsea Gray, Jackie Young, Jewel Lloyd, and Aja Wilson, just the 4 of those players have a higher salary than the Golden State Valkyries. And again, I understand, like, oh, you can fill the rest out with minimums. There's a salary, there's a hard cap, and there is a minimum. Like, they are, for their hard cap, they're going to have to find a minimum contract player that's going to have to come in for Parker Tyus. Not only that, you're looking at, like, what's in it? Like, you're looking at Kia Stokes still starting. And Kia Stokes starting, look, a team's not winning with Kia Stokes starting. Like, I don't mind. I know, I understand the fact they did win a championship with Kia Stokes starting. I understand that. But, like, let's be honest. A team is probably not winning again in 2025 with Kia Stokes starting. In this version of WNBA, when the Liberty exists, when this New Look Fever exists, when who knows what the Mercury are going to look like. Like, Mercury are an interesting team because I rate Tibbetts as a coach really, really highly. Just because it's funny, because I know the Mercury's record wasn't as good, but it's just seeing the sets they ran and the defenses they ran and the fact that, like, they came into every game with a different tactic based on different players and they were trying a bunch of different things. I like when coaches are flexible, and you can see Tibbetts is extremely flexible. You can see a lot of good things with him as a coach, so I'd be really interested to see how the Mercury are. But not only that, like, I think it's a risk. The Aces have to take risks. And I think this Gianna Parker Tyus, knowing that she's only going to be there for most, maybe 2 months of the season, I still think that it's a big risk, but it's a risk worth taking. If you are a team that's going to be hovering between 3 and 6, you should take risks. You should always take risks if you are a one piece away from a contender, because if Parker Tyus returns to her all-star form, the Aces are contenders again, even with no bench. Just like why I've always said the Aces should take the risk on Kennedy Carter or the Storm. One of those two teams needs to take Kennedy Carter, because neither of those teams are winning a championship right now. But with the addition of an all-star player, they like, that's all they kind of need. Like, that is like, you need to take a risk on a player when you are genuinely nowhere close to winning. But sorry, not even nowhere close. When you genuinely have no chance of winning, but you're close enough that you're one major addition away, you should take a risk. Like, if you're going into the season knowing you're finishing as a 4th or 5th seed, what's the damn point, in my opinion? What's the point? And I think the Aces have actually done a really good job with this. However, from a fan, they knew this was going on, but from a fan perspective, obviously it does change everything. Because the Aces no longer have this unbelievable starting 5. They still have the major weak point. That is one of Kia Stokes or Mae Gustafson. The only thing, and I will say, is if somehow they manage to do something and in the end we're looking at, say, Liz Kitley playing like not even like an all-star, like a good starting, like the 9th best center in the league, then things kind of change. But anyway, yeah, that is pretty much it. That is the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.